Hello. Hello, everybody. Glad to see you all, or at least to see your names. Welcome. Welcome to, or back to, the Brooklyn Rails Wednesday poetry reading series. This is, what is this? This is the 104th Wednesday reading and the 652nd episode of The New Social Environment. How many episodes of The New Social Environment do there need to be before new has to be changed to something else? Oh, sorry. I should have said that later off camera. Hi, my name's Anselm. I'm the poetry editor for The Rail, and then I work with all these good folks also on these readings. We've got a terrific reading for you today, curated by Tyhe Cooper, and Tyhe will be reading along with Riley Mack, Noa Mendoza, and Erin, Perez. If you've not been to one of these readings before, you might keep an eye on things posted in the chat. There will be information on the readers and links to their bios and links also to various endeavors, and you can pick up some more information on the Rail. We're here every Wednesday doing these readings, and then there's also a million other events that the Rail's doing. And I'm going to turn things over to Tyhe in a second, who will actually be introduced. I'm going to introduce Tyhe, and then Tyhe will introduce the readers, which is great because that's not something that the guest curators usually do, but Tyhe's extra competent, so I'm not going to read those bios, although they look like fun bios to read. Anyway, a writer working in experimental prose, poetry, and digitality, Tyhe Cooper maintains a focus in the treacheries of autonomous hands, outer space, and AI. They are the editorial assistant and a poetry events curator at the Rail, as well as the curator of Can't Make These Fucking Concentric Circles Work, a reading series at Unnamable Books that spotlights transgender queer GNC poets. Their work was recently published in the Brooklyn Rail's April 2022 issue, and this reading is called The Poem Writes Itself. Please welcome Tyhe Cooper.
Thank you, Anselm, and thank you all for coming. I'm really excited to be here today. I was saying in the pre-check that I'm trying to detach my Zoom self from my Brooklyn Rail personality. So this is me trying to be casual. I'm really excited to be here today for The Poem Writes Itself, here being my own bedroom. I'm really excited to be curating one of these. I watch them every week because, now because I have to, and before it was because I wanted to. And I was really glad to be asked by Anselm to do this because curating is one of the great joys of the poetry world, I think. And to get to read alongside the people that I wanted to read is very exciting. The focus for today's reading is The Poem Writes Itself, as Anselm said, which is basically just means that each reader was asked to, in one way or another, think about that idea, whether that's sharing a time that they feel like the poem wrote itself, or working that into a poem, or whatever that means. And The Poem Writes Itself is something that I feel like I say a lot. It's like a reaction I have to events or phrases that my friends say. And I think one way I want to go about this is to share moments like that throughout today's conversation in between each reader. And so the first, and I think most applicable one of those is, I think that the event page for this reading was one place where I felt like the poem wrote itself. And I was talking about this right before we went live as well, but it's been a really good joy in my life to put this event page together, where it's Erin with a meme that says, "I know you want to be here, I want to be here too." and then Noah with her head in a tree, and then Riley just being very South Jersey bartender dyke. It's like it's a good event page. So I'm really very honored to be amongst these friends and incredible poets today, and we're gonna get it kicked off with Erin Perez. Poet Erin Perez is concerned with orange wine, memes, parties, and good times. She also works across other mediums such as ceramics, photography, and painting. A recent graduate from the Pratt Institute BFA, she's from Panama City, Panama, and currently lives in Brooklyn. Go, Erin.
Okay, cool. Hi, sorry, I had like last minute technical issues, which I guess is like, okay, maybe that poem is writing itself. So now I'm Abby Bromine, which could be quite fortunate, maybe. So my first piece that I wanted to read was actually like a text message that I ended up sending my boyfriend yesterday, that when I read it back on the train, I was like, oh, that's kind of like a little poem. So this is that text. I'm sorry, I didn't do the dishes, and there might still be pubes in the shower. I thought I got them all, but I didn't. And then I also clipped my lips. There wasn't any blood, but still. Thought that was funny. This is a poem called At a Birthday Party. It's an awkward arrangement, what with me only knowing you here and maybe two others, but everyone is busy and I'm bored. And you are so beautiful and polite, asking all the small questions that never seem right to me. But what if we just asked for the nice things and then we got them in return? Let's just leave the party. It's going nowhere. And although I like it when you understand, I love you the most when you just listen and nod. This is an old poem that I wrote for my this last spring. It's called Consistency in a Full Moon. Called the pharmacy to check on my prescription. Nothing but an automated message. 1 fried egg in the morning, compensation for watery instant oatmeal. I love you in spite of this. The best part of doing anything is just getting it over with already. It's only 7 a.m. and you feel like singing and I'm drinking cold coffee in bed. I burnt the salmon last night and you love me anyway. You're sorry when your hands are too cold, but I'll forgive you as long as your feet stay warm. The best part about waking up is staying in bed for just a little bit longer. The safest place in the world, on top of your arm, asleep. And this is a poem that I've been working on maybe for like the past week. It's time you take your potential seriously is something nobody said to me. I keep making things up, coffee, making the bed. On Tuesday it rained, on Monday it didn't, and that's the way things are right now. And I can't be leaving. Or hopping around elsewhere, Greenpoint, Bushwick, Midtown. I've never lived so close to the C train, and Lee has never been this far away. And my texts never sent in the right order. And I think about beer. And my mother called me on accident and I didn't pick up. I've been trying to write a poem, I said, and then something about being a woman, about the pain, being in the bone marrow or something. Then Jack said, I'm gonna marry you someday. Then I threw up. Then I tried to induce spiritual psychosis or something. And then we had a party, and then we had a party, and then we had a party, and then we had a party. And I say things like, everybody loves me, and everybody cheers, and then I die. In the backseat of a car, I said to Jay, hey, when does the love kick in? And they nodded and said, yeah. On Friday, I counted the group as 7 instead of 6 and realized I had thought of myself twice. So I live in abundance. So I texted my friends and say how I've been playing this game where I let myself believe that the worst thing is going to happen. Then the worst thing doesn't happen. So I'm a fool, I say. And I keep coming up and I keep coming up and I keep coming up and I keep coming up. And I'm vacuuming and the brush rollers are on. And I'm girl tired and I'm around. I say, is there any beer left? And I mean it. The children learn morals and murder. On the roof, they scream and stomp on lantern flies, beady bloodshot eyes. A girl crouches, look at its guts. And I was her, trembling finger looking at the tenderness, all torn out. This is my last poem. I'm on the 6 train. I'm thinking of love and spinal cords and my friends and taking care of my friends. I know once I get to the hospital, I'm gonna braid Lee's hair. I know that I will put lotion on her face, under her nose, where it gets dry. And then she's gonna tell me exactly how she wants to be taken care of. And the train rumbles by. There's a woman I saw once on the L train who was fidgeting with her backpack. And when I got a good look, I noticed that she was carrying a pigeon in there. The bird's head rose and she pet it delicately, which made it bob down and up and down, a buoy. There are anchors that float. I'm insatiably wondrous. I love twiddling my thumbs and breathing deeply. And I have to remember I have a heart that beats. Or I have to forget about that. That also works. Lately, I'm less and less scared that someone's gonna kill me, but that comes in waves. I came into the world during retrograde season, I tweet. Shut up, I think. I tell my therapist that I'm so liquid that men keep throwing me into containers and I always fit, and she was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. I'm a poet, I say. I'm glad there's a ripple effect somehow. And that's it for me. Thank you.
My favorite thing about Zoom clapping is that you can do it however you want. And it's the only time that like this motion makes the right amount of like vibe sound. Thank you so much, Erin. Erin texted me today and tried to ask if she could read for just 5 minutes instead of 10.
I was laughing my ass off at that text because then I texted Ty back and I was like, because Ty was like, oh, I can help you like talk through it if you like need help talking through it. And so I texted Ty back and Ty was like, you know, sorry, I like actually can't text right now. Like I'm at work.
And then I said, call me. I said talk and I said call me. I will always talk to Erin about her poetry while I upload images from Peter Freeman Gallery. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm such a fan. It's so good to be a fan of your friends, and I'm so happy to do it. It's a big joy. Okay, my next friend that I am a fan of is Noa Mendoza. I'm so, I can't use the word so enough, and I am always using it too much. I'm thesaurus excited to have Noa here. Noa, I met for the first time at like, I think a reading at Unnameable, right? Or like maybe poetry project or somewhere. We just kept running into each other at things. And it's a joy to run into Noa at things. So I'm so excited to hear you read, Noa. Writer and translator Noa Mendoza is based in Brooklyn. Her first little chapbook of hybrid poetry and translation is in the works through Wendy Subway. Her work most recently appears in Pile Press.
Thanks, Ty. Yeah, I feel like Ty and I are always just running into each other at things. So it's like really fun to actually be doing something together. And I'm thesaurus excited to be here. Yeah, I guess before I start, I was just going to share a little anecdote, and this might be kind of ridiculous because it's like the youngest, the youngest people who've read in like one of the Wednesday readings so far. And I'm going to share a TikTok anecdote, which is like just like so much of a meme. But last night I was like really thinking about this question. How does the poem write itself? And then this therapist popped up on my like TikTok feed, and the therapist said, just like imagine the scenario. A truck is barreling toward you. How do you feel? And then she pauses. And she's like, you probably think the healthy response to that is to say, I would jump out of the way, right? But if you respond, I would jump out of the way, you're avoiding talking about your feelings, because the question was, how would you feel, not what would you do? And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I interpreted this question, because I took it as a question. I didn't hear like, does the poem write itself? I took it as, when does the poem write itself? So I kind of wrote all of these responses based around a conditional attachment to time and space, not a factual statement about the poem writing itself. So anyway, here are 5 little reflections. 1. V is returning to Buenos Aires on Tuesday. If I read this poem out loud on Zoom, this will be as true as a head gash. All weekend, I thought, V is returning to Buenos Aires on Tuesday. I should not write a poem about that. There is nothing as toxic as telling yourself to not write about that, because a poem is evil, fundamentally, especially the ones about love. Despair feeds the poem. Embarrassment feeds the poem. It lets it bloom like a sick betta fish. It blooms in the fish tank of the mind. The mind becomes a chamber of tepid water, and the betta swallows, swallows, swallows. And although we had that goodbye dinner that Molly said was cinematic, time still insisted on going, and the bad thing approached, and the betta gorged but did not expire. All weekend, I thought, where is the poem in this? I meant it in the most juvenile way. V is returning to Buenos Aires on Tuesday. Is this the poem writing itself? I thought, with a grapefruit in my throat and a betta in my brain. And now V is on the plane. 2. The journalist lost her hearing for 12 years, slowly. The aid made everything sound odd, like the tongue of a shell. That didn't matter at all, except for the music. Temple Grandin designs slaughterhouses more ethically. She knows that the more forceful the bray of the cows, the more pain they are in. So she designed circular chutes that curve before death, like this. Scallops have over 200 tiny eyes, and the inside of the scallop, the deep jelly part, past where the hard mollusk bites its dusk into stone, that takes 2 years to grow. If you don't eat it, it becomes salt. There is an animal shaped like a hot dog that can survive under lava and on those craters rumored to hold nightlife on the moon. Their grandfathers met when they were 20. They fell in love, but it was a secret. They both wrote these beautiful symphonies about something buried in the rose garden. Then they met 2 generations later and hated each other at that dinner party in Williamsburg. The barista is taking the train to Baltimore for the Joni Mitchell retrospective. I knew he was special because he had a sweet old smile and a ponytail and a tiny little hat, and his t-shirt had a picture of Darwin's first man and some astrological looking math. What's true? All of these poems depend on 2 things. 1, that we as listeners are invested enough in that strange mutability of language that we allow them to enter us. And 2, that we hold their lies like water in our mouths. If these things are untrue, the revelation of certain words, their luminous impotence, would mean nothing to us. So does it matter that language was made to keep account of things, not to speak of feeling, let alone to hold objects of beauty? 3. There's been a lot of loss in my house this week. I say this casually, as loss is unutterable when formalized. Other people's loss is private, although names are not and certain words are not. Monolith, obelisk, black marble marred. The kitchen grows very quiet. There were some goodbyes we meant to say and others we were not able to. There is music in a room, in another house. We can hear it coming through the walls when we are about to sleep. 4. What the painting looked like. A large and fibrous horse stained with wine. I did not realize was as unreal as fact until the artist told me that my interpretation of the horse as my lover was not untrue. This was part of her practice. Actually, she had wrapped my lover in cloth and talked to her for an entire hour, and afterward had unwrapped the cloth and stained it with a somber and musky pink. Now it hangs behind me in this room I have stumbled into. Well, that's actually not quite accurate. I was invited to the room and I wanted to come, and now I would like to leave. 5. This is the final one. Although there were no clocks in airports, time mattered. There were no clocks in casinos either. Hospitals had 2. Some train stations had 1, but it was very big. Most families had a clock on the oven in the kitchen. There was not much time in hallways or bathrooms. There were none in tombs. Time was told and it was not. Bedrooms often mortared time. Trash was timed but ageless. Animals knew time, but most people did not know how much time their animals knew. Trees carry time in circles. Turtles carry time in their backs. People carry time in their fingers and hair and around their waists. When it was not being carried, time went far. This was called absence. Some times moved like the pirouette of a little dog, other times like a very old dog walking through a forest. In the old story, time was suspended from strings. Those strings formed fabric. In our time, you can see some of those strings called kipu at the Guggenheim, but to do that, you must get a timed ticket. Because we are at the end of our time together, I remind you, 3 weeks is tall and a year is a short moment. And to that bug over there, I say, you are living your only day, a day which is all of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Holy fuck. So good. So good. 3 weeks is tall. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Really, really exciting. I feel like whenever I'm curating and hosting and emceeing readings, I talk about like all of the shit, the excitement that's stuck in my arms. And it turns out it's so much worse on Zoom because I'm not moving and I'm just in my house. So I like have all of this excitement that's like going at all of you guys for doing such incredible work, and it's just stuck in me. So hopefully I'll find a way to send that to you later. And now our third incredibly wondrous reader is Riley Mack. And Riley I met at Ginger's in a classic take at another poetry reading, which comes up in Riley's bio. A poet, bartender, and dyke from South Jersey, Riley Mack hosts a monthly reading series at Ginger's Bar and never says no to an MC moment when friends ask her to host their readings. She's working on her first book of poems and currently lives in Brooklyn with her mangy dog, Dandy.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really cool. Yeah, I thought it was really funny when I was asked to read for the theme the poem writes itself, because every time something like zany happens, like me and one of my friends, they always go, well, the poems write themselves. So it's very fitting. I'm just gonna read a few, some oldies, some new ones, and yeah, thanks for tuning in. The drugs don't love me like you do. You taste my throat and avert your eyes to my chest, where I have Elliott Smith's stab wounds tattooed in fluorescent yellow, and they scatter like roaches when you look at them. But the hesitation marks are a wonder. The mystery of self-infliction, a wonder. The ecstasy of half-life, a wonder. It's all chalked up to the cardamom warm, how it feels with the hot batch shishito pepper. You made a small incision inside, it spits on mummified kitty litter sneeze, grinds the teeth with the nose, mucus swallows, gasoline, dog Frito paw, my dandy licks, bloody clean, Gatorade bile on the dashboard. I don't believe in life beyond, but when I dream, my Nini makes my bed, licks her finger, wipes the powder from my nose, speechless says, Vicks will make it better, my treasure. I ride. You booked the beach motel room for the shoot to smoke inside and pretend. We cut the lines of Calvin Klein with the grit like we're method acting. I make a playlist of what I call incest rock. I'm talking Rob Zombie, some new metal one-hit wonders, a little Skinnerd. The girls undress freely, and out of respect, I admire them like a faggot they'd know. They are girls like I've never seen. But I live in New York now, and this is New York, and I am a part of it. We cruise on to the next casino hotel where we will sleep after the sound of waves on the boardwalk. Apology tour. I want to be like the Virgin Mary statue in Carmignano, Italy. She garnered crowds by crying tears of blood, but sweet martyr, there was no blood. Only a chilled red and me, a blubbering fool, staining your leather trench. Me, a false god, high, and the drip makes me purge this dimension, make room for the next, no dead or alive, just everyone we've ever loved, baby. I used to love your lower back, not my back crooked, sick over the balcony, quilt hung out to dry. Leah Michelle's not dead, but maybe she should be. When I'm not looking for trouble, high and watching Glee, self-aware and disjointed, the drama queen's dorky little sisters want to be the third-tier hot girls, gauche, redemption. They always hated me. Dewey Decimal deserved to die young, litmus test or didn't, squeaky scale or off key, Corey Monteith, Mark Sailing, Naya Rivera, underwater sang herself to sleep. Looking up at Leah Michelle while sucking on her teat, her face a sexy composite of first girlfriends, my mom, screenshot for the spank bank. I don't care if she's mean. She's my chamomile tea. What I saw in your sad green eyes for Coco. To die before you know you're alive. My love of cunt, eavesdropping, lonely, heartbeat in my nose. You lick your curly lips before you know what to say. You laugh like a baby. Your skinny legs wrapped around me, I need them there. Held in spite of me, perverted without, your hand on my cheek, my mind palace. And then I just have a couple more. Imagine telling me 5 years ago about the girls I'd romance, the parties I'd see, the poems I'd write, the company I'd keep. And yet, this lust for life, oversaturated, destitute, pathetic. My lust for life, pathetic. Denial is unhealthy. I'm drunk and alone on Susie's roof, remembering I'm drunk, from forgetting about the 2 hits of acid I ate, remembering that when the gravel pixelated purple and the dogs barked in Spanish. I'm in Tulum again. I'm in Tulum again. I'm Burning Man in utero. I'm the dyke at the gay boy party with a fistful of dirt. My new friend says, the dykes are in Mexico City, baby, not here. Google Translate says that also means these holes were dug, so fill them with spit, piss, neti pot, this pink powder on the off chance it freezes time. Please imagine saying tomorrow is another day of COVID tests like an erotic urethral sound. Life's worth living for. This is Freud's forgotten hole. Debt is worth living rich. I'm sober and alone on the Venice Beach boardwalk, remembering it's not winter from the heavy heat, looming sun, magnifying lens fire in my wallet that burst when sandy boots hit the concrete and the red ace of spades turned black like eyes iris. I'm in LA for the first time ever. Fisting the facts, my raw, googly eyes, wide hat, dangly earring, Hamsa tattoo, jerking off on the dice in my palm, snake eyes hiss with double or nothing. 2 wins before I lost it all. Rock hard, surrounded by men who could kill with their hands. I am their hands. Tying noose at the Cecil Hotel to be possessed by its demon. So weak and ill, so easy a sacrifice. And this is my last one. Another poem about being on vacation. No nose drugs in Miami. At the club in South Beach, there is a sodomy ban. Hordes of straight men with their hags rally for the queens, and I think it'd be more fun if they hated us. I love to bitch and moan, all decked out in clothes I'd never wear in New York. I make a scene at dinner for a glass of wine, self-absorbed and ruthless. Thank God. I escape alone to a dive called the Hideaway and graduate to shots of Henny, then a beach chair in the dark. I call my girlfriend and pretend I'm sober, and she pretends I'm sober too. Fort Lauderdale High School is in the heart of its neighborhood, between a leather kink shop and a strip mall of sex shops. Boys, boys, boys. The white fags have monopolized this town and nothing can be done about it. This cookie cutter hedonism, fluorescent grinder sign in the window, jock-strapped bottle boys, house remix of a 2010 pop song. I see the light in the older bartenders at the smoking bar, their six-packs hidden beneath loose skin, drooping bellies over tight briefs. They're nice to us. There are very few lesbians, and they're all ugly. I love to bitch and moan, but the truth is I'd fuck a cardboard box. I don't know who the hell I think I am anymore. I say no nose drugs in Miami, so I walk into the water. I say no nose drugs in Miami, so I walk into the water empty-handed. Thank you.
So insane. Thank you so much, Riley. Patrick in the chat just said violently epic. That feels right.
Thank you, thank you.
Box. Thank you so much, dude. Oh my God. I'm all movie about all this. Damn, yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Noah and Erin and Riley. I appreciate you all deeply. Billboard Top 100 is right. These people are the Billboard Top 100. Okay. Now I gotta go. I was thinking for a while about how I was gonna present the poem writes itself stuff, because I wanted to talk about a few different times that that's happened. So I made a little bulleted list. You can't see that. I don't know why I showed you, but so I'll read my bulleted list in order. The first bullet just says gynecologist / Kodak Black, which is to say that I'm talking about the time that I was getting my IUD put in and I was writhing, IUDs, and trying not to be writhing and trying not to be in pain. And I had headphones in to try to like block out the pain or whatever. And the nurse asked me what I was listening to. And, I have a thing about honesty. So I said Kodak Black. And the gynecologist from between my legs like sits up straight and looks at me and goes, "Oh, wasn't that first Cardi B song a Kodak rip?" So that's the poem writing itself. That's a poem write itself moment. The second bullet says, finding out the T in my ENFPT stands for turbulent, which tracks. The fourth bullet is nearly every time I've eaten at a diner. And the fifth bullet is the common terms and phrases section in the Google reviews of Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. And I'm going to read it to you, but I'm going to show you what it looks like first. This is like, I love Google's random AI moments. I love random AI moments, but it just looks like a blue list of linked words from different reviews. And the words are bigger if they came up more times. So this is that poem. It hasn't been changed at all. Actually, animal arms asked baby bed, began beneath the side. Bit body boy called cat child clean. Closed clothes, collected coarse, cry dark dog, doggy door dream entire eyes. Face fact, feel felt, floor fuck. Girl hair, hands happy head, herbs holding human. Husband imagine Jen, kitchen, new laugh leave legs. Let light look, living looked mean. Meet mommy, morning mother, mouth move neck. Needed never night, night bitch, offered, oh. So it's the Google reviews section of Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. And now I have some poems that definitely did not write themselves, as upsetting as that was to me. This one I wrote this morning because I think I like to write things the day I should read them because it feels nice. I'm so very I should go. Today I am the American man. Tomorrow Emmy moves to California. Today the train is a bus. Today the train is a walk past the park. Today the train is the space between my bed and my desk and the blister on my right heel where my sock slipped into my sneaker. I wanted this poem to be a sculpture, but my hands don't mold things the way my mouth does, and my half-sleeping mind thinks in wingspan scale. This is me knitting a sweater made of holes, like always. And this is me putting out the fires with the extinguisher with a flamethrower on the back. In bed, I am almost sober and completely dry. In bed, I am writing with a notebook on my thighs. I spend most of my time pointing my knees at the sky. I'm opening the blinds. The pen cap is in my hand. I need to read Clarice Lispector and I need to purge this feeling from behind my eyebrows. I can feel the peppermint soap drying in my armpit hair, and I want everyone to like me all the time, and I can't stop talking. Someday I'll do the math on how much of my life I've spent waiting for myself to dry. I push the water out of my eyebrows and feel it trickle down my cheekbones. That's the new one. Okay. I'm gonna read some next. I just remembered my mom's in the audience today, which is really cool. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday, Mom, and I'm sorry. It's weird. This one's called Malpractice Oatmeal. Last night, I dreamt that someone I would be having sex with held their hand strongly around my neck while waiting in line at a bar. I looked at the bartender by turning my gaze down slightly to counteract the angle of my chin, and I ordered something I called a brio, which upon a cursory Google this morning, turns out to be both an Italian chain restaurant and a noun meaning vigor or vivacity of style or performance, of which the latter now seems slightly applicable. It turns out that Instagram post about not being able to tell why you're crying based on what eye the tears are coming out of wasn't based in any kind of science, but I still tried to track it anyway. I forget to draw my own conclusions. I'd like something like that for liking people, like if you let her choke you, then you probably want to go on a third date, but if you don't let her make you come, then there probably won't be a fourth. She asked me if I was close and why I pulled her hand away. I used the word overwhelmed, and she didn't know what to make of it, and I didn't know how to explain to her that there's nothing to be made, nothing I'm not telling her that I am telling myself. Overwhelmed was the only word I had for that feeling where the verge of orgasm feels a little too close to public panic attack, with the added strangeness of someone's mouth being so close to the one that I use for breathing exercises. I dream that I'm waking up for work and the kid that I'm in charge of has just started summer vacation, and she keeps telling me that her and her friends want to make malpractice oatmeal as a slumber party activity, and I can't figure out what that means, but I'm picturing something like the one with the sugar dinosaur eggs. At age 4, I would sit at the counter in our kitchen and say I wanted my avocado cut like this, mommy, and neither of us knew what the other didn't for years. I dream I'm at a museum after a long day of work, holding my vibrator in my hands, and the security guard tries to kick me out because she thinks it's a camera. I explain, and she brings me to see a special dress made by Cecilia Vicuña with butterflies all attached, flying up and down, and I cry because it's so beautiful. In T's room, we are in the prelude of a sexual encounter, and I pull a stuffed Adventure Time character out from behind my back. They joke, say, "What if that's my kink?" And I give myself away. At 3:46 a.m., I convince myself there is not a man in my closet, and I am proud of myself for besting him. Falling back asleep, my dreams restart, and I'm not scared and proud. My dreams go black suddenly and click off with a loud tick. So that's Malpractice Oatmeal, which is the first half of this diptych that I'm still editing. And this is the second half. I have two hearts, one inside me and one inside my chest, and I can feel them arguing. I have a structure in my wrist and a finite set of architectures falling one at a time from the skin of my upper back. I have this question about maybe, like maybe that one time, like maybe, or when the sun came in the window, like how it used to, when I thought dust was little pieces of light falling in, like warm snow or ash. When that happened and it was so hot in there while the heater went, and I accidentally memorized your irises without language, so when I tried to translate them on the street corner, nothing came out. I think about if this is what humans look like to aliens, if your eyes are so blue, because maybe I really am actually from a red planet, like I thought when I was younger about the way my scalp moved. And I told my mom about how maybe someone had come and taken over my body and injected me with my own memories so I would never know the difference either way, like that. I predict that the moths will return when the house is empty and I will be gone. That the coal stains will never leave my sheets, and someday someone else will ask me, and I'll tell them about the fire that went out, and the moths that dried up, and the mushrooms that didn't grow, and the splits between my braids where the mycelium stuck. And when I say it enough times, it won't make me nauseous anymore. This is a question and answer poem, and I can put it on and take it off at will, or read it twice or thrice, and it will be different every time because the answers or the questions will be different, or will have a new voice or emphasis. I remember a face staring back at me from the inside of my eyelids, and an espresso served to me in the white mug that isn't mine. I'm writing my name with a loaded brush. I'm giving myself away again and letting the paint rename me everywhere it drips. And then this is one that I've been working on for a long time. I'm still working on, and I've been talking about it forever. And I kept getting worried that I would talk about it so much that I wouldn't write it anymore. But it seems that I didn't particularly fall into my own trap. This is, if Sisyphus swallowed the boulder, he would just be walking up a hill. Sisyphus has his hands in his mouth, and I'm in the press box, learning how to yell from my diaphragm. He's got 4 fingers on each hand shoved inside his mouth, and I think he just might do it. They're wrenched in there like the inverse of a man miming a ring box, a clam in reverse. The boulder is resting on his chest, his hips jutted out to keep it still while he pulls, his back arched girlishly. Sisyphus is posturing himself for utility, and I'm at Rockaway Surf Club, sitting up straight when the butch lesbian sits down next to me, while salsa drips down the curved edges of my forearms. He inches his fingers along the ridge of his tooth line, all the way to the right, and hooks his pinkies away from each other into flesh. His eyes are wincing shut. There's something happening in his knees that we can't quite see. His elbows are certain, and there's a pop. His jaw has gone slack and is jutting counterintuitively to the left, but not for long. His fingers are sliding back over. He's determined, he's done it before. His left, our right, 2 hands and a break. Sisyphus is screaming in pain and triumph, and I'm chasing my sense of urgency down the Williamsburg bike highway. The jaw is out of the way, a breath. He rests his forehead on the cool dampness of the boulder. Never enough sunlight to dry it out. What does he know about rocks? Sisyphus is resting, and I'm swallowing iron vitamins from a Ziploc bag in the middle school hallway, while 7th grade Sean Simonetti tells me he loves me over the sounds of lockers closing and being late at cheer practice. Throat next. His arms are bumping against each other as he slides them through this brand new passageway. He vomits to lubricate the tube. His elbows are touching, wrists crossing over each other. Elementary schoolers everywhere know this construction well, twisting their arms up into each other to trick their brain out of knowing which finger is which. But this knot is on the inside. With his arms buried as deep as they'll go, his hip bones chafing 9-year-old playground knees red against the boulder, he starts to pull himself apart. Sisyphus is bleeding from his hip bones and no longer vomiting, and I'm 9 years old falling through the middle of a tire swing. I'm flat on my back on dried out mulch, looking up at clouds and New Balance sneakers with charmed shoelaces, flailing. His arms come out hot and slick, coated and covered variously, mixing into a bodily reddish brown. Pushing his hair behind his ears, he holds the rock in place with his elbows, and heel shove lifts his shoes off one at a time. He's shoving the toes of his sneakers under the edge of the boulder like doorstops, hoisting himself up while his socks slide down his heels. Sisyphus is taking off his socks with 6 split thumbs, and my size 4 sorrel boot is stuck in the snowbank. I'm crying to the childless neighbors about maple syrup and the custody battle that hasn't happened yet. His sticky hot arms go back inside and pull. Sisyphus is enacting a dream at great personal risk, and I'm wearing all my t-shirts inside out so that the message is only for me, and I can feel it pushing against my skin, sticking to me with sweat. I'm announcing everything to myself by letting it seep into me. And pull, and he's shoving jaw over rock, and he's never been good at handstands. Sisyphus is contracting his abdominal muscles, and I'm 9, 13, 22, counting every stair and memorizing the sets in case of fire. He's trying to get momentum, but his feet are in the sky and his jaw is on the rock and he's not moving. Sisyphus is split beyond consciousness, and I'm talking to my therapist about my 5-year plan. I'm looking away from a split screen and holding my own hands to talk about a motorcycle and the things that people have been asking of me. She's showing me a video of a whale on her phone, and Sisyphus has his legs in the air, stone dead with his toes out. My Sisyphus thing. And I think maybe I'm done, or maybe I read one more. What are we thinking? Okay. Anselm gave me a 1, and I trust that man too much. So this is I Keep Running, which was also written the day of a reading before. I think I read it on the New Social Environment once. Okay. I keep running out of places to keep track of my bones. The edge of the curve of the bone of the left hip is filling up my whole life all at once, rubbing against gymnasium air and racing suits and the wet waistbands of denim and weekday morning laundromat bathrooms. A hard needle bouncing, a gloved hand, boxers, mine and others. My most conscious corner, time traveling all over myself. I keep running out of dreams not to have and things to put into my pockets. A rolled up sock and all my best friends dancing on a rooftop while I practice gender in the mirror. Richard Serra's verb list and trains that won't stop dropping me off in tunnels where the gravity won't work right. 5 things I can touch, 3 things I can taste, 1 child I can't find, and so many pregnancies I won't complete. I keep running out. I keep running. It is tomorrow now, and the sigils on my hand have mostly faded. The line that connects the outside of my wrist to the inside is most persistent, but even that will go. I am moving in slow motion, and there's always more tinder to tend. My fingers moving at a rate nearly imperceptible, and my head collecting blood or lacking it. Help me put the phone down, pull the fingernails out from behind my eyes, keep my bedroom temperate, my pillow cold, my face not too full of blood. Help me sleep. Keep me sound or make some. An ice pack on demand, a full jar of melatonin. A meditation podcast that won't start the sounds in my head up arguing again. Water, and no nausea, no rash, no infection, no guilt, no embarrassment. A warmer inner dialogue with new colors. A working window, an unwavering sense of self, something to recite. A letter writing campaign, a good pen, arms, a book that will fix me, a plan. In an effort to love myself more and to feel warmer, I make my phone background one of Toulouse-Lautrec's bed series and download the others into my camera roll. And some that rolled up sock line was actually a you inspo situation from your Brainerd tribute in Press Wafer from 2002.
Oh, thank you. Always good to think about that. Thanks, Ty. Thanks so much for reading and putting this together. And thank you, Noah and Riley and Erin, for all the terrific poems. And thanks everybody for being here for the past hour or so. Next week, the reading will be curated by Catherine Chen. And in 2 weeks, Claire Donato is putting something together. So come back if you can. We seem to always be here, although spread out into these cubes. And although I only have to be here on Wednesday, some folks here have to be here every day. Anyway, maybe we should throw the mics open so that I can stop talking. And everyone can say hello and goodbye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ty.
That was good.
Thank you.
Riley, Noah, that was
Good
amazing.
That was so good.
Everybody.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Noah. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Thank
You're so
you.
good.
Hit after hit after hit.
This doesn't stop. So,
Thanks.
I'm just gonna be in my house. Okay.
All right.
Everyone take care.
Love you guys.
Bye now.
Thanks, squad.